Hey everybody, it's Chris. Um, Time for another update, I guess. It's been a long few weeks for me. I think a lot of you know I had to have. Well, first let me tell you, I'm exhausted. 3 weeks in 3 hospitals, which is basically code for sleep deprivation. So I just got home yesterday. I'm tired. And on top of that, one of my physical therapists got me sick. She told me she was coming down with something, and mixed with the lack of sleep, my body just couldn't take it. So I got a cold, or I don't think it's the flu, but I'm already feeling better. Yesterday was bad, but I don't think it's gonna be a big deal. Just shitty. Anyways, the main thing I wanted to tell you about was my sorry, my emergency brain surgery, which happened on October 17th. My last update, I had already been discussing the lack of motor skills in my right side, specifically my hand at that point. That was the first thing that tipped me off that something was wrong. So much has happened, it's kind of hard for me to process all this, but I was in and out of the ER a few times. Long story short, they had found a metastasis in my brain from the same cancer I have been fighting for over 2 years. But this particular metastasis was very aggressive. I had pretty much become paralyzed in my right side of my body within about 2 weeks. My leg went second after my arm. I had seizures pre-op. So in the week leading up to my surgery, I had 5 seizures, each one taking away more and more of my function of my right arm, and then towards the end, my leg. So I'm trying to be concise here without turning this into a novel. But by about mid-October, I was back in the hospital for like the third time, and it was clear that I had to get this thing cut out of my brain. This tumor was hemorrhaging, it was bleeding, and that basically turned it into a ticking time bomb. The tumor was happy to feed on the blood of that hemorrhage, so it was becoming more aggressive and growing exponentially because of the bleeding. It was like food to it. So here I am sitting at the hospital here in Simi, and we're trying to figure out what to do, where to go. I had already spoken to a neurosurgeon in Ventura about a week before, and at that point it was looking like I was going to go with her. And she didn't have a sense of urgency, really. It was just more like, well, let's get this done, in the next month or so. But my symptoms had really spiraled out of control within that week. once my legs started to go out, I knew I had to do something quick. So back at the Simi Hospital, the surgeon there, his name was Dr. Gill, and he came in, talked to me and my dad. He said, I'm going to lay a lot of information on you and walk you through this. And he did all that. I'm not going to go through all the details. I don't even know if I could right now. But what ended up happening was he came back in the next day and he said, I could do this surgery, but I don't really have the resources here at this hospital that I would want to have to do this right. He says, I might not have that stuff here for 6 months to a year. And I want to send you to UCLA. He says, the doctor there that I know has these things, and it could make 10 to 20% difference in your outcome. So he started banging on doors over there and yelling at people, from what I heard, to get me in there. So the next day, he sort of confirmed that we're going to send you over to UCLA. And they threw me in an ambulance, and I got there about midnight on the 16th. And by 4 o'clock the next afternoon, they were taking my skull apart and getting this thing out. And I actually had a seizure that night. It's the only time anybody saw me have one. It was my dad. And that was the last one so far I have had. But they were happening, right up to the end there before I had surgery. Let me think here. I was just ready to get this thing out. The day of the surgery, I couldn't really even move my leg. Like I said, my arm was already shot after that 5th seizure. It was just dead weight. I could probably move my leg about 1 inch off the bed, but it was pretty much my right side of my body was paralyzing. So anyways, they had me up all night running scans and doing a bunch of shit, stuff that's not even worth repeating. It's mundane. Important thing was that I got in for this procedure. So finally, they told me it was going to be around 1:30 on the 17th, but they also said, things run late, and ultimately it was around 4 o'clock, and they rolled me down to this insane location under this, I don't know exactly where I was in the building, but it seemed out of a movie. These endless hallways full of operating rooms with people teamed up for each room. I felt like I was in some sort of post-apocalyptic war movie. And I remember telling my dad, damn, people got problems. All these surgeries going on. So my mom and sister and dad came down with me to see me off. And, pretty soon I was just with the team and the anesthesiologist. And, I wasn't scared, really. I was just ready to get it done and trying to be funny just to break the ice with them. And I asked them, I go, at any time during this surgery, is the doctor going to yell out, brains, brains? And they looked at me so horribly, like, you're not funny. Let's shut up and just shut up. Yeah. So, anyways, I was out, obviously at this point, and my dad had, I should mention that I did meet the surgeon before the procedure. His name is Dr. Yang. And he came in and told me, what to expect. He said, I'm going to try to make it so that no matter what, you're not worse than you were before I got you. And, they can't promise you anything, though. He said, you could be paralyzed forever, but we don't think that's going to happen. We just have to give you a little brutal honesty. What could I say? I had to, wasn't in a position really to negotiate. Just had to get this out. So that's, I only saw him for a few minutes. And, but my dad told me, that about an hour and a half into the surgery, he came out to see my family. And my dad said he was looking pretty proud of himself. And they said it happened quicker than they expected. Maybe an hour and a half I was in there. Longer than that for prep, but the actual procedure only took about an hour and a half. And he told him, we did good here. We got this thing out. I think I got all of it. But, you can't see these cells. I'm going to be getting a little bit of radiation very soon, this coming week. But it was good news. He said I got to close him back up. He's still opened up, but we're happy with what happened. So he put my skull back on, and they took me out of anesthesia. And the first thing I remember saying was, I need my suppositories, my oils. It came right out of my mouth, like, they didn't know what I was talking about. I didn't discuss that with them, but I just started blurting things out. And then I remember telling my dad, two guys walk into a bar, and I didn't have a punchline, but I felt like that was my way of testing whether my brain was working still, my sense of humor. And they did another EGG on me where they stick all these needles in your head and check for activity, make sure I wasn't going to have any more seizures. And they didn't find any activity. So, and I haven't had a seizure. I thought I might have had one the other day, but it wasn't one. It was just my arm starting to, I don't know how to put it. It's just getting these jolts in it that are, I think, a good sign. There's activity in it, but I can get back to that in a minute. But honestly, I've been recovering really quick. I had a little bit of a droop in my mouth, from the day of the surgery. And one of the nurses was kind of freaking out, and he asked another doctor to come in. And the doctor's like, chill out. This guy just had surgery today. Shit's going to happen. We'll see what happens tomorrow or the next day. And it went away. I don't have any, I can smile straight. I don't have a crooked mouth or anything. So, right after something like that, your brain's just, it's frazzled. There's a lot of activity going on in there. Hang on a sec. So I was at UCLA for a few days, getting no sleep, getting meds put in me constantly. I was on Oxycontin, but I told them I didn't want to be on that shit. So for only 2 days, I think I did it. I said, get this shit out away from me. I wasn't in that much pain. They put me on Tylenol after that, and I quit taking Tylenol like a week ago. Any kind of drug that I could get off of, I insisted on getting off of. I did not have a pleasant experience with UCLA post-op. I mean, at first it was okay, but they basically kicked me out of there. I was having an adverse reaction to one of the steroids they were on. I had me on, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong, and gave me another CAT scan. They were getting their lines crossed. The doctors weren't really communicating well with each other. And then some guy in a gurney showed up and said, you're leaving. We're taking you out of here. We're taking you to a therapy center in Westlake. And I knew I was going to go there eventually, but I didn't know I was going to go that night. And one of the doctors was threatening me about my insurance, that if I refused to go, I was going to pay for it. And it was just fucked up. I wasn't getting any answers, and they basically kicked me out of there. Even the nurses kind of turned on me. It got really weird. So I was pissed off about all that. It doesn't matter anymore. I spent the next week, at least, at the physical therapy center in Westlake Village. And they had me working right away to get my leg is like 90% working already. There's some details that aren't there, but and I'm weak just in general. A lot of it's from the meds. I'm now only on 2 anti-seizure meds, but the whole week I was still on steroids. They have to taper steroids down, or else you go nuts, So I kept asking them, when does my taper start? Because I was really aggressive and miserable on them, not myself at all. So as of yesterday, I'm not on steroids anymore. I'm not on pain meds. I'm not on blood thinners. My stomach is a mess. It's bruised up. I got injections every day into my stomach, which is the blood thinner. And it started hurting and irritating the hell out of me. So now I'm just on, like I said, the 2 anti-seizure drugs, which I'll be on for probably the next month. And I can tell you, it just feels so good to be home. Trying to catch up on sleep and prepare for my radiation, which is going to be at UCLA. Maybe only 5 days worth. Mostly focused on the site of my surgery. I know it looks weird here. My hair it's just a hot mess right now, but I put a picture on Facebook. There's a pretty clear picture of my scar. But it's healing quick. Sorry if this is getting blurry. And I'm sorry I'm just out of it. I just wanted to do something before I started radiation, because I don't know how I'll feel at that point. I don't know if this is in focus anymore. There. So I don't know where I'm at here. Besides getting that cold, I feel pretty good, all things considered. I'm ready to do the next thing. My arm is moving. They busted my ass in physical therapy. Now that I'm home, I'm going to be getting some home treatment, and then I have the option to do some outpatient stuff as well. I'm just trying to get the tools, resources I need so that I can work on my own. I'm determined to get this arm back. I can't really show you too much right now, but you can see I can lift my shoulder already. It has to start here and then I work my way down the arm. I was able to move my thumb the other night, but generally speaking, my wrist down is still pretty dead. A little bit of forearm back, bicep, tricep, pectoral, shoulder. That's all responding. And I should tell you too that the surgeon had run some tests, some signal tests on me when my skull was still open, and he said everything responded. And the day after the surgery, he came in and seemed pretty chipper and said, I ran these tests on you. I know yesterday I said this and that, but I don't see really any reason why you're not going to have a full recovery. It's not clear how long that'll take, but it's up here. I've never been more focused on a goal in my life, and I'm determined to make it happen. I'll work as hard as I have to get this back. So what can I say about that? Things are clear to me what I need to do, so I'm going to do it. I know this video is pretty sloppy, but I don't know if I'll be up to do one for a while. I just want to kind of retell the obvious. I've almost died twice this year. Back in April, I was basically drowning in a pool of my own fever sweat for a month before I could get into care. And I didn't know if I was going to make it. And I did. And then this hemorrhaging brain tumor was pretty scary, in that things were going wrong so quick that who the fuck knows what kind of outcome there was going to be, or how permanently damaged I was going to be. And here I am, doing things already, walking, talking to you about this days later. So I think I should count my blessings and focus on just what's next and not get too caught up in anything else, any sort of self-pity or anything. I feel lucky, and I still feel like fighting, even though I'm tired as fuck right now. So I guess I'm just going to leave it at that for now. I'm exhausted. If I think of something I might want to add, I'll consider it. And again, the outpouring of support is overwhelming to me. I can't, because of all the meds I've been on and stuff, and the speed at which everything happened, it's been hard for me to get everything straight, process all this. And part of that is, being able to acknowledge everything that everybody's done to help me emotionally or financially or what have you. So when I have a clearer moment, I'm going to probably talk a little bit more about that. But in the meantime, here's my crude version of what had happened in the last couple weeks. And I feel pretty good. Besides the cold and stuff I have, I don't think I lost anything. I just don't feel like, I feel like I dodged a bullet. And all I can do is move forward here, which I have every intention of doing. So thanks for listening, and I'll let you guys know how it goes with my radiotherapy. Might only be 5 days worth. I should mention that there were 2 smaller, tiny tumors found on the left side of my brain that they think they're going to just hit once. It's like a 1-day zap. And then 5 days of the right side where the main tumor was. So, not too bad, really. I already went to do a test run, a CT simulation, and they custom fitted a wire mesh mask over my face, which helps them map out the coordinates for the procedure so that they hit you in the exact same spot every time. Now, a nurse told me sometimes they put a tattoo on you to do it, but I don't think they're going to do that with me. So they told me I could keep my mask too. I said, okay, I'll take it. Anyways, I'll share updates with that as I go through it. I'm just looking forward to my rehab and my therapy and making progress with my arm, which is already happening. They were impressed with what's already happened at therapy, and I could tell they were genuine reactions. People, saying, "Oh shit, like I wasn't expecting you to be able to do that already." So those are all encouraging signs. They could tell that I'm not gonna tip over on this. I'm very committed to doing whatever I have to do, no matter how long it takes, and that's all I can tell you. So that's about it. This is turning into a long ass video, and I wanted it to be a shorter one. Thank you very much for everything, and I'll talk to you guys soon. All right? All right, good night.